I remember the very, very, very few people that were lucky enough to make it on any kind of news broadcast, TV show, anything like that. Not TV show, but I'm not going to say 60 Minutes per se, but I think they did run an episode about the bailout from 2008, and the bottom line is, the very few said the rich are going to get richer, right? Wealth is going to be consolidated even more, while the poor get poorer, and the middle class go into the poor, and it just kind of goes away. So then you'll just have rich and poor, basically. And you can see we're heading that way. Child poverty jumps 2.6 million since 2008, since TARP bailout time, while number of billionaires since the same time frame doubles. So 6 years later, after this massive QE 1, 2, 3, 4 printing of money, TARP funds, bailout funds, banker bailout parties, the number of billionaires has doubled in a mere 6 years since this took effect, this bailout, while child poverty explodes. Thanks to Zero Hedge Zero Hedge. Two headlines came across my screen today, which taken together pretty much sum up the effects of policy decisions made by central bankers and politicians since the financial crisis. The financial oligarchs got bailed out, and the rich got richer due to the decisions made by the leaders around the globe. As such, the entire planet has now been transformed into a neo-feudal tinderbox. Myself and countless others warned all the way back to 2008 that this is what would happen, and here you have it. And is it going to get better all of a sudden? Was there a massive sweeping die-off of politicians and fascist bankers that have gone into the government and put themselves into power and their friends in power, right? Has that stopped all of a sudden? No. As a matter of fact, it's gotten worse. Every person who Obama has appointed in the financial sector of our country, as far as the government goes, is one of the club, one of the boys. Every one of them. Let's first examine the results from Oxfam's report on the billionaire growth spurt. I hope all 1,645 of you have sent thank you notes to the patron saint of oligarchy, Ben Bernanke. From NBC, the report: the super rich club has become less exclusive, with the amount of billionaires doubling since the financial crisis. According to a report from global charity Oxfam, there were 1,645 billionaires globally as of March 2014, according to Forbes data cited in the Oxfam report, up from 793 in March of 2009. So unsurprisingly, this reverse Robin Hood policy of central banks and governments, in other words, we're here to help the people, got to do the bailout, except we're going to give it to all these banks. You get nothing. Except you need to go get something, go get a loan from one of our friendly banks, who will charge you an interest to pay it back. Money we gave them at basically 0% to lend to you, who at one point in time decided to take massive billions of that 0% money, park it back at either the Treasury or the Fed to earn interest on it. So I'm going to hand you money, billions per bank, and then you take most of those billions and give it back to me, and I'll give you interest on it. Does that make any sense to anybody? I'm going to give you billions of dollars practically for free. It'll cost you pennies to hold on to this money. But you also can park it right back with me, your government, via the Treasury or the central bank, and I'm going to give you interest on any money you park with me. And the interest you'll get is more than what you're going to owe me for borrowing or me giving you that money in the first place. How would you like someone to just walk up to you, knock on your door, forget billions, here's a couple $1 million, and I want you to earn a little bit of interest on this money, and it's going to cost you 0.25%, so 0.25%, almost nothing, to borrow this from me, and I'm going to give it to you. You're going to take it. And then you turn around and set it in this little program I have over here, in which I will pay you a few interest points on that money. Matter of fact, what if it was just 1%? What if it was 1%? Well, I have to pay them 0.25% to get that money in the first place. Then I give it back to them, and then they give me 1% back, which means my net profit is 0.75%. For doing what? Nothing. They randomly knocked on my door and just gave me this money, right? That's what happened to these banks. Here you go. And they were told, well, we got to keep America going, and we have to lend money in order to keep America going. And yet somehow there's twice as many billionaires and a whole bunch more people who are poor. So, let's see, what do we got here? And from The Guardian, child poverty has increased in 23 countries in the developed world since the start of the global recession in 2008, potentially trapping a generation in a life of material deprivation and reduced prospects. A report by UNICEF says that the number of children entering poverty during the recession is 2.6 million greater than the number who have been lifted out of it. That's an interesting statistic. The longer these children remain trapped in the cycle of poverty, the harder it will be for them to escape. It says in Children's of Recession, whatever it's the name of the title of the thing. Greece and Iceland have seen the biggest percentages of increase in child poverty since 2008. Interesting, Iceland, but remember, Iceland basically collapsed financially. They threw out and even put like warrants, international warrants, on some of these former well-respected politicians who had policies that we knew were little backroom deals with the bankers, and they fled the country. They fled the country. Here in America, they don't need to flee the country. They are the government. They run the government. They are the government. They put their people in power. They put them in the Security and Exchange Commission. They put them in the CFTC. They put them in all the regulatory agencies, and then they go and run. I'm going to put my pal, little Timmy Geithner and friends. Oh, he'll be head of the Treasury. And when he steps down, we'll put another one of our guys in. And when he steps down, or corruption's found or whatever, then we'll put another one of our guys in. That's what happens in America. Over in Iceland, the people wanted blood, so they fled the country. So they had to start from scratch. And then all of a sudden these numbers come out shortly after that say, wow, Iceland's actually doing pretty well. However, apparently doing so has hurt them in some respect. One being right here, Greece and Iceland have seen the biggest percentage increase of child poverty since 2008. So that was a side effect of what happened. However, it's happening everywhere anyways. Plain and simple. 26 nations of the developed world are experiencing it. So, I guess Iceland made the right decision after all. While the rest of us were told we can't go down that path, we don't want to harm any of these banker people as far as like kick them out or anything, or make them undo what they did. No, we'll just have them pay a little fine with the spoils of their massive fraudulent financial system. And billions and billions, which have turned into trillions now, of money parked at the Federal Reserve and the Treasury from them that was given by the Fed, Unbelievable. So, the proportion of children living in poverty in the UK has increased from 24% to 25.6%. So, it's up a little bit more. Nonetheless, the trend is up, up, up. Rich are getting rich, poor are getting poor. In the last 5 years, rising numbers of children and their families have experienced difficulty in satisfying their most basic material and educational needs, says the report. Unemployment rates, not seen since the Great Depression of the 1930s, have left many families unable to provide the care, protection, and opportunities to which children are entitled. More importantly, the Great Recession is about to trap a generation of educated and capable youth in a limbo of unmet expectations and lasting vulnerability. And it adds, the impact of the recession on children in particular will be felt long after the recession itself is declared to be over. As it said, we now have children, young college students basically, who are set free. I've graduated college. I've got my degree in my hand. Thank God my parents were smarter than everyone else. Some of my friends did not do this. Their parents and my parents were smart enough to push me through college. I know they struggled to do it, but they did it, and I'm out. And I've got a degree, and now I'm going to go get that job because they helped me get these student loans, of course. You know, putting their name or what have you to guarantee it, or you know, whatever. Student loans can never get defaulted out of anyway, so it's got to be paid back. But that's okay because I'm going to pay it back. I've got a degree in whatever field I was happy with, right? Now I'm going to go get a job. And in my mind, because of everything that I heard and read and was told of why I should go to school, is that there's a lot of people out there that don't have a college education. So you don't want to be one of them. In the job pool of, you know, eligible bachelors to go get a job, you want to have the degree. You want to be the one to get chosen. Okay, great. So now I'm going to put out some applications, do a few interviews, and I'm finding that they want someone with a college degree and experience. Well, how could, wait, okay, well maybe it was just that first guy, the first job. Nice job, but, all right, I'll go to another one. I'll go to another interview, same thing. Job experience and college degree. That's 2 in a row. And then 3 in a row, and then 4 in a row, and then 5 in a row. We want someone with college and work experience. And then they start to realize, how stupid is that? How could you possibly be wanting people with college degrees and experience when everybody starts off with just a college degree, assuming, you know, the jobs we're looking at all require college degrees? That means you had to start out yourself with no experience and a college degree. So who the heck, where do you get a job with that? Oh, well, you got to take kind of like a real low position in some of these corporations, like the position you're applying for. Don't apply for that position. Yeah, but that's what my degree's in. I know, but you got to work your way up. What do you mean I got to work my way up? I went to college. I spent all this money. I've got massive loans to pay back. Yeah, but you can gain the experience while you're there, but you got to start at the lower part of the company. That's usually how it works. So apply for the secretarial position and then move your way up. That could take years. Oh, yeah, most likely. I've got college loans to pay back, $40, $50, $60 plus $1,000. I could have got this job without college and not had the damn debt. Yeah, well, we've got 150 people in line behind you. Used to be 100 people in line behind you. Now it's 150 for that secretarial position. We gave you the benefit of the doubt because you did go to college and you got a degree, but you got to start out at the bottom. And then you say, why wasn't I told this when I was going to school, or even before I decided to go to school, when I was doing the research on why I should go to school? Why was it that I did not find out that you're going to have an extremely hard time getting a job in the industry you get a degree for, and that they want you to have this experience? And I was told by all the educational commercials and the administration at my school and the teachers themselves that you got to have this extra education, college, it's the only way to get a good job. And then they come to the stark realization, wow, this was nothing more than a scheme. It was nothing more than a giant commercial. It was a giant commercial. They tricked me into going to school so that they could, of course, have their jobs and get paid at the school. The school could stay alive financially because people and other folks like myself, whatever, went to school believing the same thing, paid this massive amounts of money to get an education, which I did get, and now I am struggling to find a job. And here's the reason why. We had this little economic problem, right? America, United Kingdom, the developed world, as we say. And 2008 financial crisis, housing bust, for all this crap, massive amounts of debt being printed, can't be paid back, by the way. Whole different discussion on that. But a lot of people lost their jobs too. And well, yeah, but the unemployment numbers are it's just a number that they spurt out of their filthy mouths. You can look around and tell and talk to people who are looking for jobs, and parents who've moved in with their kids who moved in with their parents because they're out of work again, etc. There's no way the unemployment numbers are correct. So let's stop right there with that. I mean, let's just face the music. So, speaking of people, moving in with each other, it's like becoming an epidemic. Whether it's the parents moving in with the kids moving in with the parents, same thing. So, no one can get a job as far as these school kids, and the companies are saying, well, we definitely want someone with a college degree and experience. The good news for the companies are that there are tons of older folks, older and more mature, as we might say, than a fresh new college student, fresh out of school, out of college kid. They've already had their degree 20 years ago. They've been working in that industry for the last 10, 15, whatever years. They are far more qualified than you, who just got out of school. And you can't go to them and say, why are you asking for a college degree and experience? That's just not... How do college kids get the experience? We can't have both. So how did you start? How does everybody start? Well, I gotta start at the bottom, and there's that story again. Start at the bottom. I could have started at the bottom without a degree, and then probably moved up anyways. So you have this massive sea of people with degrees. And I remember doing a video a long time ago. I don't know if I saved the story in an email. I think I did, because it was good. It was really good. And I've mentioned this. I'll just briefly talk about this, because it's a whole video in itself, but it's really educational, interesting as heck. And they gave an example of, Joe and Steve. Both the same age, both getting out of high school. They both have $16,000 from their parents, etc., to do whatever they want with. And there's basically two choices. Choice A, you take the $16,000, apply it towards what you owe in college, if you want to go to college, to get you started off, so you don't have a huge, amount of money to pay back. But you can put that as, down towards college and go that route. The other guy, so we'll call that the person who does that and goes to school, that's Steve. And then Joe decides, not going to go to college, I'm going to get a job right away, working in a normal job, and I'm going to take that $16,000 and just do the standard investment, retirement, take a put it in an account and just let the stock market, whatever, not a crazy interest rate, just average, whatever, what you would expect in a span of 30 years or whatever of a stock market to move, and start off by putting $16,000 in there, as well as a little bit, from your paycheck, like you normally would with the 401k, etc. That little bit of your money, because again, you're not going to make as much as a college grad at the same type of job that can get paid more. But you put in a little percentage of your pay towards it. It's a typical amount, that you'd expect. Then you have the guy who finally graduates college, old Steve, got his degree. It's a few years later. His money's gone. He now has to pay back college debt, minus $16,000 of it, because he put that towards it. So he lands a job, and in this example, there was no such thing as, start at the bottom and work your way up. In this example, boom, landed a great job. It pays well, pays more than old Joe's getting, because Joe doesn't have a college education. Steve's got it, getting paid more. I can start paying back the college debt, student loan debt, and living my life. Well, I too have to have a retirement, naturally, like everyone else. So I'm going to put a certain percentage, matter of fact, the same type of percentage out of my check that is normal, just like old Joe's doing, just like everyone else is doing, a percentage of their check. Same type of investment. It earned the same interest, just for this example. By the time these guys are in their 50, 55 or so, I think it was the example, like they're both going to retire at 50 or 55. Because they got started really early in life, with the job. The numbers showed that by Joe putting in his $16,000 at once in the stock market, and just, again, an average thing you can expect, had hundreds of thousands of dollars more than old college grad Steve. Because the amount of time it took Steve to pay back his debt, which prohibited him from take home money, etc., paying bills like you normally would if you didn't have college debt, along with adding an additional amount of his check to his retirement fund. So he had to pay back the student loan debt. He also had to set a little bit aside for his retirement, naturally, right? Got to keep that going immediately. And because he didn't have $16,000 to start off by dumping at once in a lump sum in the stock market so that it can, double and triple and all that over the years, he lost. His retirement was inferior to that. Oh my God. Oh. Hold on. Oh my God. The sun was so bright. I just pulled up. I was like, oh my God, because the light on this camera always blinks red like every second, and it wasn't blinking. I could not see it. The sun's in my face. I was like, oh my God, was I just talking to nobody? Please tell me that I'm not going to have to do this whole video over, because I am not. I will just save it for tomorrow. And I can see it flashing. Oh, thank God. So the moral of that story, the bozo who didn't go to school, that had his parents give him 16 grand when he was 20 or whatever, and went to school, well, could have went to school, won out massively against the college grad, because it took so many years for the college grad to pay back his loan. Now, if the parent just handed the college grad $60K, of course not handing it to him, son or daughter, you get $60K to go to college, mama and dad is going to pay for it, so that when you graduate, you're on your own and you're debt free. At the same time, I still wonder how would that work out, because that person who now has no debt and is ready to get that job, and let's just assume they land a good job, they don't have $16,000 to just dump in the market at once to let that, double, triple cycle take effect over the number of years till they retire. They got to start from nothing. So their first paycheck of whatever it is per month or per week, minus a tiny bit to put in their retirement, now has to build up years and years and years and years to get to $16,000. That's going to be years on down the road, right? So they're still behind. It was an amazing article. When you just, and again, math doesn't lie. The numbers don't lie. And I saw it and I was like, my God, that's incredible. So for me, my little in this example, $16,000, I wasn't given any money, by my parents. I don't think they were given money either. So, by their parents. I started working when I was young, and that's it. So I've saved up some money, bought a bunch of silver, and now I've been able to take extra money, right? Same principle, and buy more silver. I mean, the price, these elite are after gold and silver like I have never seen right now. They must know something huge is on the horizon with gold and silver prices. Like, as in, something's going to happen and they're going to explode up. We are on track right now to have a record year, from what I was just reading, of Silver Eagle sales. It's been a couple of years since we've had a breaking record. Now, it's about to happen again when prices are being smashed hard. The people who understand what's going on are not buying it. Oh, you're going to lower the price and scare me out? I don't care. I'll buy more. Thank you for dropping the price. As I said, JP Morgan Chase, thank you. And by the way, my special request, please let this continue for like the first 3 or 4 months of 2015 so that I can take a nice lump sum of tax return money and buy even more. More than all the previous goals I've set and have met. I want a whole bunch more, Because when I see these prices like this, some people get sick to the stomach. Oh, this is painful. Oh. No. This is a buying opportunity. Massive buying opportunity. I was telling my friend at work, man, can you imagine if they can get it to $10 again like that one time when me and you were able to jump on that? I think it was early 2009 maybe. He's like, God, I know, man. He's like, but even now the prices are so good, I'm going to buy some more. So he bought some more anyways. His dad said, man, I want a bunch. Whoa. I want a bunch more too. Let me undo this thing. Our little mount. So I want a bunch more too, son. Get me some while you're at it. He did. He got him and his father some more silver. I am ready to buy some more, but I want to use that tax return money. And we are just a few months away from that. And powers that be, I know you got it in you. I know you do, to make it last a little bit longer. Take care.